Good morning here, Lynette Oxley here for Tac Shack Tactical TV. We wake up this morning to bad news for gun owners in South Africa. I'm here with Paul from Gun Owners South Africa, GOSA, and I'm here also. I've already put in my objections from Girls on Fire as well this morning. Paul, explain to us what's going on.
Okay, so last week, literally Friday lunchtime, we received a communication from the Civilian Secretariat of Police informing us that we had been invited to a webinar to be hosted by Cele, the Field Marshal Admiral, which we spoke about on the last Chairman's update last Friday. In any case, so it was very light on detail. It was to do with, well, variously. The heading of the email stated that it was about a discussion of changes to the Firearms Control Act of 2000. The blurb which was sent out with it, which was a single page, which was a pamphlet type thing, a single page leaflet, talked about the Firearms Control Amendment Bill 2021. So we didn't quite know, so we asked the CSP, because when we don't know something, we ask. We asked the CSP to explain it, and we never got a response. Over the weekend, we never got a response. Monday, we tried again. We asked him for further details on Monday. We never got a response. So eventually, on Monday afternoon, we started phoning everybody. We got hold of Mr. Milton Ntwana, who's the director at the CSP, at the Civilian Secretary of Police. He was in Cape Town at the time, and we only managed to get hold of him by getting hold of one of his colleagues, and his colleague passed him the phone. So, and we asked the questions. We said, "What is this about?"
No agenda.
No agenda, no program, no list of attendees, no talking points. How are we supposed to attend something in 3 days' time? That will be now tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, if we don't know any details.
And obviously some other parties have known about this before.
Well, you see, so this is the thing.
Same old.
Same old. Some people get an invite, other people don't. Those people that are most likely to
support their narrative.
To support their narrative get an invite and they get a speaking turn. Those people who are most likely to cause problems for them are ignored. So we were ignored. But we don't like being ignored particularly. In any case, so we've been robustly communicating with them, a number of parties, starting yesterday morning with Martin Hood on behalf of Dealers Association and the Security Industry Association, objected to or questioned the Civilian Secretary of Police, Mr. Appiah, and said to him, "Dude, you've got to postpone this. I mean, this is
ridiculous.
It's a mockery. It's a
Absolutely
mockery of a consultative process. You don't rush into something like this." In any case, then we, as part of a grouping of people, represented in this particular instance by Outdoor Investment Holdings, got stuck into this, and we also objected, and we asked for a postponement, and so that the process could be properly restarted. We've had no response. Neither of us have had any response. Last night, I hear that certain of the other parties who were invited, NACSA and the National Association of Collectors Associations, sorry, I get lost in the acronym, and SAGA, who had been asked to speak, have also now, this morning will be asking for the process to be postponed. But in any case, Lynette...
Then this agenda comes out.
Lynette obviously represents the newly formed non-profit company, NGO, GOSA Girls on Fire, and I obviously represent GOSA.
We've already sent both of our objections back.
We sent our objections in sparrows. I mean, my first objection... Oh, sorry. Yeah, so
the agenda came out.
So the agenda comes out last night for a conference which is due to start tomorrow morning. The agenda comes, and it's a detailed agenda. Day one, all the people, etc., who's going to talk about what. Day two, the agenda, who's going to talk about what. And right at the end,
surprise.
The way forward. Where have we seen that before?
And then Gun Free South Africa is the last speaker.
Second last speaker.
Second last speaker on the last day.
So they get
what
to
does
wrap
it tell
up.
It? What narrative are they following?
Yes, so they get to wrap up. Gun-Free South Africa gets to summarize and wrap up.
I'm angry.
And then the way forward is presented. Guess what that'll be? In any case, so the whole purpose of this thing, it turns out, is actually to do with the Firearms Control Amendment Bill. So we have, as you may know, we've had some detailed analysis of the research done, of all of the available research was released by the Civilian Secretary of Police. Both the Socioeconomic Impact Assessment Report, which is a necessary, legislatively necessary underlying document to the bill. And well, let me put this in simple terms. It's a joke. The Socioeconomic Impact Assessment Report was cobbled together to support the conclusion that they wanted to reach.
Ignore the Wits government support.
So hang on. Yeah, so we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Yeah. So again, this whole process started with the Civilian Secretary of Police contracting a third party, an independent third party, the Wits School of Governance, and asking them to do an analysis of what the situation was with the Firearms Control Act, whether it was working and achieving its objectives of keeping South Africans safer or not. The Wits School of Governance did a great body of work and came to the conclusion that crime in South Africa has nothing at all to do with the availability of firearms, but has to do with the paucity of police, with the police not doing their job. So the whole thing comes back to the police. But in various other details, etc., etc. The police ministry hid this report for 6 years.
Absolutely.
They held it to their chests and they denied that it existed.
Gun-Free South Africa had it.
Gun-Free South Africa had access to it, but not anybody outside of that closed circle. The Civilian Secretary of Police and Gun-Free South Africa are like this. Anyway, so it came to light as a result of a barrage of poppy requests. No, not poppy requests, of access to information requests, amongst others from Safe Citizen and GOSA, etc., etc. So suddenly this thing popped to light, and it became. And then what? So the authors of the Wits School of Governance report, in the introduction to their conclusion, state that they're afraid that the contracting party, the Civilian Secretary of Police, won't find the conclusions to their liking.
Absolutely.
And they apologize for this. They say, but here are the conclusions nonetheless, because that's what honest,
researchers,
academically rigorous researchers do. They produce the results and they say, well, yeah, there we go.
So are they one of the people that's speaking at this webinar?
No,
I wonder why not.
Strangely enough, the Wits School of Governance haven't been invited. So what has happened is the Civilian Secretary of Police then took the Wits School of Governance report, stared at it aghast, because they knew the conclusion they wanted to reach, which was this Firearms Control Amendment Bill. They stared at it aghast for a while. Oh, by the way, who is invited to the conference is the South African Football Association.
What the hell? I'm sorry,
seriously,
what the
guys?
hell?
Well, yeah, so
sorry, I'm really angry this morning.
maybe,
you might have noticed.
Maybe this harks back to the Firearms Summit in Parliament, where the same South African Football Association was represented and had a huge speaking turn, because the Firearms Control Amendment Bill of 2014 that we sank out of sight due to the summit was supposed to be known as, and in honor of, the ex-South African Bafana captain, Senzo Mayiwa, who was murdered. So it seems that SAFA has now been invited to this event 6 years later in honor of the abortive bill they tried to pass in 2015. So we're hearkening back to that.
But they don't care about the women of South Africa.
But they don't care about the women of South Africa. They don't care about the truth. So they took the Wits School of Governance report, which they didn't like, which didn't support their narrative, and they hacked it to bits and misrepresented certain of the conclusions from the Wit School of Government report, and then they compiled their own desktop study.
From internet sources.
An individual at the Civilian Secretary of Police seems to have cobbled this together from various internet sources.
Flippin' hell.
It's unattributed. The sources haven't been disclosed properly, and they designed this internal firearms management report to produce the
amendments,
the amendment bill.
Amendments.
So the whole thing is intellectually dishonest. It's fraudulent. It's a travesty. What they're effectively trying to do is, from there being a policing problem in South Africa, they're trying to blame the policing problem on you and I, on the citizens of South Africa, just as Eskom has tried to blame the problems with the power supply on the users. It's not Eskom's fault. It's not the fact that they've stolen hundreds of billions of rands. That Tutuka Power Station has been losing 100 million rands worth of diesel a month to theft. 100 million a month.
Yeah.
No wonder they can't keep the lights on. But it's the South African citizens' fault. So they've done the same thing with this. They're blaming you and I, the law-abiding South African citizens, for there being crime. It's bizarre. It's unacceptable. It won't fly. Minister Cele, resign. Do the honourable thing for once in your life.
And this whole process, and I have put it already on GOSA's Facebook page, go and have a look. This is gender-based violence, promoting gender-based violence.
Of course.
They were taking away our rights as women to defend ourselves. The police can't defend us.
Correct.
And this whole process stinks.
Yep.
There's no other way to put it. I don't often get angry, but I'm really, really angry. And this whole process, and there's this, they hidden the agenda from us. It was obvious where they want to go. They keep saying to us yesterday when you were speaking to the people, oh no, this is just a part of the process. It's not. You can actually see it's well planned to again push the narrative of disarming legitimate firearm owners. I'm sorry, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, they want to disarm the South African population so that they can do whatever they like, or so that they can excuse their own
inability,
incompetence, their corruption, their fraud. I mean, this whole thing is a classic example of disinformation. They're trying to hoodwink the South African public. And they're probably going to get away with it. Let's face it, this is South Africa, land of corruption.
Please, everybody out there, put down your. They've actually put down your dissatisfaction.
It doesn't help. They ignore everything.
The Dear South Africa things. They've ignored all of the submissions.
The 98,000 submissions on Dear South Africa on the FCA bill. They've completely ignored.
They're just blundering ahead.
They're just blundering ahead. This is our government, blundering ahead from one corrupt opportunity to the next.
I'm sorry, I'm really, really angry.
We're a little peeved this morning.
We will look at what we can do. We have strongly objected. From Girls on Fire, I've strongly objected to this process and asking them to cancel this webinar and to do it right the next time. You've got objections from GOSA and from a variety of other parties. South Africa, stand with us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.